We're going to hit start
Okay.
live, and there's already 12 people here sitting here waiting for me. So let's go.
Yeah.
Hello, Michelle and Violet. Oh, so excited to see you guys on here. Thanks for coming. And I see Sadie's picture, and I see Liz's picture, and Bethany and Faye, and oh, so many amazing people already here. And Caitlin, ready to say hi. Not just to me, not just to me today. We have the elusive and wonderfully beautiful Misty here with us today. And I am beyond excited because even though I did an interview the other day with Yogi Michelle, today's is going to be very different again. And I'm super, super excited. Hello, Alison and Maria and Faye. Now, just the FYI, Misty's not going to be able to read your comments because she is on her phone, so she's not logged into the chat as well. So if at any point there's a comment, I will read them out for Misty so she can see what is going on, but she won't be able to see your comments. So I'll be like the comment interpreter. I'll be the go-between. So very excited. Bethany's like Misty, my twinnie. She's super excited to be here with us as well. Hello, Shauna Ray. Now, is this the Shauna Ray that Misty was just telling me about? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. So Maria is here. Kim is here. Hello, everybody. So Shauna Ray is one of the amazing teachers here on Insight Timer. If you are also a teacher here on Insight Timer, say hello and let me know so I can give you a shout out. I know Caitlin is here. Violet is here. Our beautiful Violet 108, who brings us all together, who got me excited about giving this OBS a go. And look at it working beautifully for us again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, so excited. So, yeah. All right. So let's kick this off by going a big, big welcome to Misty. And first of all, I just want to say, only because, over the time that Misty has been part of our little community here and the way we've connected, I don't know her whole story, but the pieces that I've heard, I'm going to preface this whole interview by saying this is going to be a massively deep and vulnerable time for Misty. And I want to know, I want her to know, how blessed I am that she said yes to coming on and letting me interview her, and B, that honored to be able to bring her story on here because I know she wants to become a teacher here on Inside Timer and it's part of her journey going forward. And this will maybe inspire her as well. So Caitlin's Misty, I love you and I'm all ears. Yes. Yes. So everyone's like, yes, yes, yes. Lots of hearts going everywhere. This is fantastic. All right. So let's kick it off by Misty. And Misty said to me just before we started, she goes, I watched the interview with Michelle the other day. And when you said, can you introduce yourself? She was like, thinking about, oh my God, how am I supposed to introduce myself? Because she's obviously had a big journey in life. And she was like, just say whatever you want to say. So, Misty,
Yeah.
welcome. Thank you for coming.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is so like I'm honored to do this, and I'm honored to put my story out there. Like you said, there's so much more. But you and I have talked about, doing multiples. So,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna you and I talked about I'm not gonna dump all of it, but I do want to kind of get, an overview of people, what's gone on in my life and how I have made it through to the other side. I mean, my journey to recovery this time, I created it. I really want to talk about my recovery and how I did this whole last year.
Mm.
Because this time last year, I was deep, 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 deep into my addiction. I had called treatment to try to get in because I knew I had to get out. Um, I had a friend of mine that had just purposely been OD'd.
Yeah.
I found out about it. I found out what happened. I told his family, and 2 days later, I got shot at. Um, this is the kind of life I was living. You know what I mean? Um, and the thing is, I can fit into that life, and I can fit into. I've been I've climbed the corporate ladder. I've been the soccer mom. I was the Girl Scout leader. I've owned 5 businesses. You know, there's so many different lifetimes, like I said, that I have lived, but I can chameleon into them. And so my resilience through that is what has really shined through this last year for me. Because when I went into recovery and I finally got in January 15th last year of um, treatment, here's the thing, it was clear out in another area and I could not get a ride out there. So I had to pay a drug dealer to take me to treatment. Okay. Like this was my
That's
life.
that's next
Um,
level. That's next level, isn't it?
like, I mean, this was my life,
He's like,
like I said,
I'm getting there. I don't care how I get there. I'm getting there. Amen.
and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and yeah, it didn't matter to me. I did what I had to get to where I wanted to. Um, and I was still doing drugs that night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because the treatment center they were calling me every day or every couple days, and they're like, how are you doing? How much are you using? They were very, very, very compassionate. And they were a great treatment center. And they told me, they said, don't try to stop on your own.
Yeah.
Just do what you need to do. I was on the run from the law. I had charges on me. Um, yeah, and this is where I was last year.
Yeah.
Um, and then when I got out, I started into the just regular recovery thing. And of course I had aftercare, and I really found a great therapist. Um, and that's where I started talking to him. And let me back up a little bit. While I was in treatment, my counselor there found me a recovery group called Pagans in Recovery.
Mhm.
And I wasn't sure if I was still going to stop using drugs. And when I started going to that group, that was when it clicked for me.
Yeah.
Because there were other people out there like me that had different beliefs that were trying to do it. And that's what I kind of want to bring is,
And can I just say,
but
like, that's a really important thing to notice that there was still a part of you in recovery, unsure whether you were even going to give it up. Like that in itself, honest, vulnerable awareness. Like you didn't walk into recovery going, I'm never doing that stuff again. You walked in because you wanted help, but there was still a part of you that was like, am I ready to give this life up? And I think that's a really important thing to be able to notice and be so real with yourself. So yeah, I take your hat off to anybody. I've never had like I get addicted to hobbies more than anything. I have addiction personality because so thank God I've never fallen down like drugs and alcohol because God help me, I would have
yeah.
been probably dead before now. But I'm addicted to different things, but I think that's a really beautiful thing to be so aware of and be honest about. Because so many people be like, oh, yeah, I went into recovery knowing that I was ready to change my life for the good. And that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen straight away. So, yeah, yeah, that's fantastic.
And I've been in treatments, like that was my 5th treatment. And what you're saying, like the thing that I have seen through that is when people walk in there saying that, they fail. You know, they I've seen it a bunch of times. They fail.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, I even told my counselor everything, and my therapist, that I was ambivalent about it. And my therapist is like, "Hey, I'm not going to tell you to stop using." He's like, "When I read your history, he's like, I probably would have started using drugs and gone down that avenue a lot sooner than you did." He's like, "You had no, like, you didn't have a choice in the matter." When I
Mm.
grew up, my dad was a Hell's Angel. My mom was an addict. My grandma was on the carny, and we would spend time in the carny all summer. And you know what that atmosphere is like. And, we always had bikers around, and that's what I grew up with. Like, it was normal.
We
That
become a
was
product
normal.
of our environment, don't we? And it takes a different type of, you know, yes, we break the cycle, we change the mold, and we do all that thing. But unfortunately, in the early formidable years, we don't really have too much of a choice straight away until we've worked through that. Hey, we can't always just break the cycle at 10 years old. Like that's just not always possible, So
No, no. And that's, like, it was really hard for me to break the cycle because, like, my parents, they kidnapped me back and forth between each other 5 times in my life because they used me as a weapon to hurt each other. And then when I got taken away from my dad and put into the system, and then they found my mom and gave me back to her, within 2 weeks, she left me on the streets of Palm Springs, 14 years old,
mm,
because I was no longer useful.
yeah.
Um, I didn't have that nourishment. I didn't have that thing that was supposed to teach me growing up.
Mm.
I would be dumped off at other relatives' house. Even when they would kidnap me, they didn't have me. They would dump me off at another relative's house and
You were just a
have that
pawn.
person raising me. And I was a pawn. Yeah, from the
And that's
get-go,
where addiction comes from,
the
isn't
first
it?
time I was,
Addiction really stems from that need to
yeah,
disassociate because you were just, I'm a pawn. You didn't have that nourishment. And so your instinct was to go into survival mode and disassociate, and
oh yeah,
it served you
yeah,
at the time. That it served you at the time.
right.
It got you through. Made you
Well, and
survive.
I even talk to my therapist about it all the time now. He told me, he's like, you've lived your whole life in survival mode. And he's like, it's okay. He's like, but I'm gonna encourage you, in the beginning, this is what we talked about. He's like, I'm gonna encourage you to figure out how to use that survival mode, but use it in a good way. Um, get vulnerable.
Mm,
And this whole year has been me working on being vulnerable because I've never been vulnerable in my life.
yeah.
I didn't know how to actually authentically be vulnerable.
Mm.
Um, and there's been a lot of, help on here. You mentioned Shauna Ray is here. I started going to her journaling sessions, and that's kind of what she does is authentic vulnerability. She's authentically vulnerable on those journaling sessions, and it allowed me to be authentically vulnerable. And there's a lot of people that I mean, that's like a family, that whole little people that go to that all the time, and we
She's
do
she's
get
giving you
vulnerable with each other.
Shauna's
So,
giving you love hearts.
so yeah, everybody on here has taught me how to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Um, I've learned how to be vulnerable from a lot of different places, and it was weird. It was scary. It was, I'm still working on it.
Mm.
There's a lot of times that survival mode kicks in again. It's been there. I'm 49 years old now. It's been there for a long time.
Mm.
Um, and like I said, I ended up on the streets of Palm Springs at 14 years old. I started using drugs at 14. My mom gave me my first drugs. Um, and so, yeah, like it's those kind of things that I've had to go through so that I can tell other people, like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It just because all of this stuff happened to you, it's not your fault. It happened to you.
Mm.
Don't I had to get out of that victim stance
Yeah.
because I was holding on to that victim mentality. And every time I allowed that to come up in me, I'm allowing them to victimize me all over again because they're not thinking about it. They're not thinking about it. I'm the only one that's doing the hurting.
Yeah. And that's
Some
the
people
thing with
just
victim.
don't have the capacity.
That's the thing with victim mode, isn't it? It comes back to us. We hold on to it because A, that's the only thing we've ever known. And if we let go of it, then who the hell are we? but we hold on to it thinking that it's going to serve us to make the other person suffer. But really, we're only suffering ourselves in the long run. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Right. And
amen.
that was,
Amen for
yeah.
everything you've done. So, so many people, like when I talk about when I had my breakdown and breakthrough, like we put that into perspective for you. A drug dealer drove you to recovery, and you still weren't even sure whether you were ready for like the road to recovery fully, but you did it. You knew that you needed to change. Then you found that pagan recovery group. Was that the turning point where you really went, yes, this is it now?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and that's the turning point where I decided to heal that witch wound
Yeah.
inside me. I started connecting with other people because I'd been in recovery for 8 years before.
Mm.
And I did the 12-step thing, but it's very one, they say that it's not, that you can get your own, higher power. But it hasn't evolved with the times. Um, but through finding that pagans in recovery, and then I went and found some other like secular, you know, all pathways recovery groups. Like I went and like deep dived into recovery and found like lots of things, recovery dharma, like all kinds of things that I needed to kind of integrate in and figure out where that path was, like you were saying, a breakthrough. So it was, and then I found this through some of those, like I said, somebody in recovery was talking about they go on Insight Timer all the time. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to check it out, just all those little breadcrumbs that has led me through to this journey. And I've even healed that religious trauma. I no longer cringe or have that hackle, when God comes up or
Yeah.
whatever, because I figured out, I did. I was so mad at God. I
Yeah.
was so mad at God. Here I am sleeping under a pine tree, homeless for 4 years, you know, um, in North Dakota in the middle of winter, but I came to understand that God gave me that pine tree, God, the spirit, the universe. I've learned to figure out how to integrate that now because pine is protective,
Yeah.
you know? Pine is protective. It's a protective element. It protected me. I was given all these things. I had to figure that out. That's one of those things when you find your higher power in recovery. Where were they through that journey? And what do they look like? And it took me a while to create what it looked like. And now it's a lot of things. And so there's a lot of people that are in that pagan area that, that's what I didn't, like you said, that was my turning point, understanding that there's other people out there. Okay, I can find a different spirituality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
And that
and yeah.
did you honestly feel like, because you quite honestly say that you'd done recovery for 8 years, you'd been in and out of facilities, but finding a different process, because like you said, the 12 step doesn't work for everybody. It might work for some, it might not work for others. It hasn't evolved, the same as the school system. It hasn't really evolved since the Industrial Revolution. That's the whole one box fits all method, but do
Yeah.
you think that did you honest like does somewhere in your body feel okay, now that I've found a different approach or different addition to my recovery journey, this is definitely the changing point for me now? Like, did it feel different to the previous times?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's one of the things that I tell people all the time. Just in this almost a year, I
Mm.
have such stronger recovery than I've ever, even in that 8 years of recovery. I never had this strong of recovery. I mean, within 6 months after I kind of deep dived in and found all those different things and started realizing, through meditation and stuff like that, having those things come into me and, getting through meditation, you get whispers of,
Yeah.
things that you're supposed to know, and learning how to pay attention to that, learning my intuition. So yeah, it was definitely a complete change in my body and knowing, wow, this is where I'm at. And that's, it's hard for me to explain how that grew and built. Yeah,
It's funny because I
that
felt the
breakthrough, like you
same
were talking about.
after I had my breakdown and then my breakthrough. Like for the 20 years prior to that, I'd go through, cycles of really, really lows. And then I'd go, you know what? I'm making a change and I'm going to do better. And nothing ever freaking changed. It would just be a little bit. And so even though it wasn't as deep as like a drug addiction, there was still a mental up and down. And until I had my breakdown and breakthrough, found the right life coach, found the right support system, found Insight Timer, it was like, and it's really, I say to people all the time, it's really hard to explain until you find your inner light and learn to listen to those whispers. It's hard to articulate the words, but it's like a switch was flicked. And like I kept saying to people,
Yep.
this is different this time. I know I've said it in the past that I've
Mhm.
changed, but this was so different. And it's hard to find those words until you've found that moment where something
Yep.
clicked and something clicked for you.
Yep.
That changed everything. Hey. Yeah.
Yeah. It is so hard to like explain it. And I just had my birthday and I did a ritual for my birthday and I did a lot of mirror work, just standing in the mirror and talking to myself. And through that whole thing, like I went through joy, I went through feeling sexual and sensual, and then I completely broke down, just gut-wrenching sobbing. But that was, I mean, an even huger breakthrough for me. I feel like that was my turning point to this,
Which is funny because
because that
I
was when,
I had a similar breakthrough with mirror work, and I that's the first thing I say to all my new clients. It sounds like it's the most weirdest thing, but if you can work on yourself, because you've got to break through all those layers for what you've protected yourself from, not just from the outside world, but you've protected yourself from your own inside as well. So yeah, I'm just
yeah.
there's so much that's resonating, which is amazing because it's not
Well,
just
I started my
not just
mirror work.
addiction. Hey, it's there's so many different ways in which we can heal ourselves using these tools, and we have to find the tools that work for us.
Right. Well, and everybody has an addiction as far as I'm concerned. Everybody has addictive things.
Yeah.
They have codependency, food, social media. Like everybody has something
Yeah.
to work on. And that's one of those things that I found through CBT, and learning how to use CBT, DBT, and rational emotive behavior therapy to kind of change those things in my life. I did that, right around the time that I was finding Insight Timer. So it was kind of like a mix. Um, that was a different recovery group that I found. They go on the psychological part of it and life skills. So I integrated a lot of different recovery groups in my thing because I knew one wasn't going to work for me. I'm so different, neurospicy.
Yeah.
I've got to have all the different information, and I knew that I had tried the one way before and it didn't work.
Having the
And I'm
multiple
after
things
that,
is good because then there'll be days where one part or one group might not resonate with you. So you've got other things. That's what we have with our toolbox. It's not just tools that we can use for ourselves, but toolboxes also include the different types of support systems and the different avenues in which we can connect with other people and things like that. So I think that's beautiful that you didn't just put all your eggs in one basket because that's
no.
why
Well,
people fail.
and I still don't. One thing that's really important for people in recovery is routine. So
Yeah.
I have things in my phone, and they're all the different kinds of recovery groups that I found that I really connect with. There's a music in recovery that I go to. It's really awesome, and we play music and we talk about how it resonates and what it does to our emotions. And then there's a stoic recovery. And I have these all in my phone, you know. and I go to these groups every week.
Yeah.
It's important to do routine. And talking about the mirror work, that was part of my routine every morning. I figured out because it felt silly, it felt stupid. But just brushing my teeth in the morning, I would just stare in my eyes, you know, and just spend that time because I hadn't never just looked at me,
Yeah. And
you
there's
know.
such a difference with, I don't know about you, but like I tried mirror work in the past years and years and years ago. But the one that I only ever tried was where you talk affirmations to yourself. But really, it was just distracting me until you got
Yeah,
silent and stared in your own eyes. It's such a different type of mirror work, isn't it? It goes beyond anything I'd ever done because you're
yeah,
getting
yeah,
honest and vulnerable with yourself. And
yeah.
that's really hard for a lot of people.
Well, and being able to just look at myself. Normally, when I'm looking in the mirror, I'm looking at things on my face, my hair, or watching the toothbrush while I'm brushing my teeth. No,
Mhm.
I had to stare in my eyes. And it was really hard and it was uncomfortable at first. And maybe I could only do 30 seconds of it. But the next day I did a little bit more and a little bit more. And just being able to look at yourself um, is so life changing for me, because I never had done it my whole life. I looked at myself, but I didn't look at myself,
Within.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know for me, it was like day 4 or 5, and it was just like somebody had shined a light on my soul. And I finally reconnected to the inner Carly. And it was, again, there's no words to describe that feeling, is there? It's just
Yeah.
like until you do it, you can tell people till the cows come home, hey, but you've got to do it. You've got to do the work for yourself. You've got to see it for yourself to really truly know that that can where is we can shift.
Well, and I mean, the thing, I was so exhausted, just spent afterwards, after I had that really breakthrough for a couple of days.
Mm.
You have to be gentle with yourself after that and take that time and understand that you are spent. I've really worked on my intuition too. I mean, there 1,000 different little synchronicities all day long. And when I first started having those, I was like wanting to tell everybody about it. And then I realized, no, that's not for everybody else. That's for me.
Yeah.
Those are my messages. I don't need to tell everybody about them. Yeah, I can share it sometimes if I feel it's going to help someone else,
Yeah.
but it's not to boast my ego about what's going on.
Yeah.
There was that shift too. Just, yeah, there's so many things that shift. There's a lot of information I want to get out there, but, you know, I think one of the most, and kind of wrote this down, one of the most things, because it was really important in recovery to have a routine. And once I kind of started into that breakthrough and started figuring out what I might need to work on, I created a routine in the morning that also helped me because I realized all my chakras, what chakras? I don't, um, and then I didn't know how to like get them aligned, but I just kind of like followed my intuition on, all right, this is what I'm going to do. And I found this little snippet here and this little snippet here. And I created my own little morning routine because it's super important in recovery to rewire that routine because everything's chaos. Everything's chaos. We thrive on the chaos,
Mm.
So I just it maybe took, 20 minutes in the morning if I didn't take a shower. But you could do it either way. But I started with my root chakra, and that was just sitting with my cup of coffee and kind of smelling it and just being with it, feeling the heat, feeling, all
Those
of that,
mindful
keeping those
moments. Yeah.
keeping those senses alive, waking them up. And then I would stir my coffee. And I shared this one time, typed it in. But the thing that I say when I stir my coffee is air to inspire, fire to bring desire, water as my healer, earth as my church. And then I will speak my intention for the day. And then I call upon you to bless this new day. As above, so below, as within, so without. And so it is.
Yeah.
And that would kind of be okay, there's a quick 3 minute, okay. And then I turn around
That's
on my
it. Just
couch and
I'm just gonna break in here. That's your first Insight Timer teacher audio track that you can record because honestly, that alone, could you imagine everybody here, you wake up, open up your Insight Timer and do that little
yeah,
1 minute activity with Misty, guiding you. Holy shit. I was like, I quickly closed my eyes and I was there in the kitchen with you, stirring that cup. I could feel it. I got goosebumps. That's amazing. Sorry, keep going.
yeah, yeah, and it,
That's
it
my
was me
neurosplicing.
bringing,
Yeah.
yeah, no, but it was me bringing in my witch too,
Hmm.
because I'm integrating the chakras. I'm integrating my routine for my recovery that is going to heal the brain, in the way that it needs to get out of the chaos. But it's also, I sprinkle a little bit of witch in there with, just a quick chant, and those are the things that brought me to that. But yeah, there's like a whole thing. Yeah, I could do them all on tracks,
Everybody's
through all the
saying
way
yes,
through.
yes, 100%, 1000%, yes, yes, yes. The comments are just going crazy, Misty. I think this is a need that, and the thing that I really love about Insight Timer is that you can go into this type of community and find something that's going to suit you. But there does need to be more for the recovery. I don't know because I've never been on that type of road to recovery. So I don't know what is actually available in this community. I would assume there's something, but maybe not enough. And this is definitely something that's needed. Like to this community that you can go in and go, okay, I want to do something on chakras, I want to do something on witchy, I want to do something on recovery. There's going to be something for everybody. And I think would be the most amazing and profound addition that we could have into this community because your story, I can tell you, there's 104 people on here. There's 104 people. The comments are going crazy. Everyone's like, Misty, you are amazing. Bethany is like blown away by the pieces that you put back together. The support
I
in the
couldn't.
comments, I wish I could read them all out, but they're just going nuts. Like, honestly, this is
Yeah.
something that is so needed in this community. And just being able to be here and share you with the community as the start, I'm like, haha. So when you're on here and you're a teacher, I'm going to be like, haha, I introduced her to all of you. No, I'm kidding.
No, but I mean, I was, this opportunity, you starting that, like, that's that breadcrumb,
Yes.
because you and I had just talked about
So
my
I,
journey.
I,
And
I might have asked, you said yes, you showed up.
oh,
There's
yeah,
there's plenty of people that I've asked, and everyone's like, "Let me think about it. Let me think about it. Let me think about it." You said yes. You didn't even think. You just jumped. You're like, "Yeah, let's do
yeah,
this. I need to. I need to do this because that's part of the journey is sharing
right,
your story, knowing that
right,
it is going to help not just other people, but actually talking about our journeys in a way of our own healing. And Jordan
right,
said something about it in one of the comments earlier that you said something about your journey without like it. I think it was in relation to the whole God thing that we're no longer affected by it. And this is something that I said on my journey in when I studied the creative arts therapies. I'm no longer a victim to my stories. I can talk about it without it getting on top of me. And doesn't mean that I don't get emotional sometimes, but I don't get sucked into the stories. And this is very much where you are. Like it's part of your journey. So when we talk about it, so in the early years of me doing lives, I used to do a lot of shadow work talk lives because it was all about the things that I used for me to inspire other people. But every time I spoke about my journey, it healed another part of myself because it reminded me of how far I've come. And, it's a
right,
continual, and the routine that you talk about, it's about consistently showing up for yourself. People say to me all the time, what's the biggest tip you've got? Consistency. And that's really
yeah,
comes with your routine, consistently showing up for yourself. If you do it once a month, you're not going to see the shifts. It's got to be a daily, consistently show up for yourself. Yeah.
Well, and I didn't do it daily, and I would get really down on myself when when I wasn't being, and then I had to like start realizing, no, forgive yourself for not doing it. Just try again tomorrow.
Mm.
I had to start setting timers and reminders with, you know, alerts in order for me to do it because it's not natural, you
Mm.
know. My phone would go off all the time, but I needed to do that.
Yeah.
And then I could start, deleting them when it started becoming normal. It takes a long time to create a habit,
Mm.
and you have to forgive yourself when you're not perfect. And then there's some days you're busy that morning. I got to get up and run to my therapy appointment. Okay, I can't do all of it. Can I do some of it? What's the most important? Me brushing my teeth, staring in the mirror, and then imagining a white light bubble around me for protection. That's what I needed to do the most, get connected with me, get the bubble around me,
And that's the
and
foundation, isn't it? It's the
that's
foundational work that's the most
right.
important. It is like,
Yeah.
honestly, like honestly, I'm in absolute awe of everything you're saying is everything that we live by, and you've done it in such a short amount of time to show up for yourself. Wow, like girlfriend, that is like next level. Absolutely.
Well, and that's what I realized too, and that's why I said yes to this. And that's why I'm stepping into wanting to be a teacher because if I can do it in that amount of time, other people can too.
Yeah.
They just have to have the right encouragement about letting go of that victim, letting go of those survival instincts
Yeah.
because it's okay. You know, I, did I want to have the faith? Do I have fear right now going into something that I have absolutely no idea how to do? Like, absolutely no idea how to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
you're and you're
this is the
sitting there
thing,
doing
like,
this, totally oblivious to all the amazing comments that are on here, you know? So, and you're just showing up, you're being authentic and vulnerable and open and honest. And honestly, I don't think you realize the amount of healing and teaching that you're doing in this interview. Like, I'm so glad that we're recording this, just letting everybody know it's being recorded. Because there's just such power in everything you're talking about. And so some of the previous comments that have just come up is even the healing component of this interview and what you're saying, Misty, is resonating with the people who aren't even in recovery. So, like, I think you're going to be able to support and touch and inspire and motivate so many people on so many different levels that you don't even realize. Yeah. Which
then I have a fire going back here.
Mitzi's burning down. She's burn that sucker down.
Fire safety, everyone. Fire safety. That's why it was on a plate. Always use fire safety.
Yeah, love it. Love it.
It happened.
So that
Yeah.
I know I interrupted you before when you were talking about your routine and
No,
what you wrote down with the grounding. So do you go through
no, it's okay.
every chakra every day, or just work on ones that you feel a little bit more might need a little bit more that day?
In the beginning, I tried to bring everyone in, and that's the thing. Like, I had to work on my routine. I had to get it figured out. I had to, um, but if I have the time in the morning, a lot of times I'll wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and, I start getting myself ready in the morning and I'll do all of the chakras, at least once a week. I
Mhm.
do a cleansing shower and, I create like a wash with, rose petals, rosemary, things like that. And it's a cold wash when you get done with your shower, but that's a sealer of protection around you, just different things like that. But I'll work through the chakras, connecting them from the last one into, the next one so that they're aligning together. And it took me a while to get figured out. But like I said, then there's other days you're busy. So the the best thing for me to do is work on the third eye chakra, looking at myself in the mirror, really connecting with here, my intuition, and then work on the crown chakra and create that bubble of protection around me. Those absolutely, if I'm in a hurry, those are the two I do, and then there's other days if I feel like I'm not able to communicate to people correctly, yeah, I'll focus on the throat chakra. But by doing them in order every day, now they don't get out of alignment all the time, you know, or even just, a couple times a week doing them in order. They're not out of alignment. I didn't realize how out of alignment chakra, where was that chakra? Like it had taken off into somewhere else. Like it wasn't even there. Was it non-existent, yeah, so calling all that back, calling back your power. My that's my phrase for this next year is take up space.
Yeah.
Because I've made myself small for so long. And so, yeah, I'm taking up space. And that just came to me just this last couple of weeks. And, all this stuff falling into place with you figuring out OBS. And I'd been encouraged by a lot of other teachers to, go ahead and start teaching. And then, you were encouraged me. And I was like, okay, and then I said I did that discovery call with a life coach and she refused to work with me because she's like, you don't need a life coach. Just everything kind of coming together. But yeah, in such a short time, it is really mind blowing. It's super mind blowing. And it's like,
But it goes to show
do
that
it.
once you decide to choose you, once you decide to flip that switch, it doesn't have to take 10 years, does it?
No,
It can be an instant change, an instant shift in your life. You've just got to be ready to make that choice and make that change. You
yeah,
know, and look, at the
for
end of the day,
sure.
it's also okay if it does take you 10 years. I'm not calling out anybody. I'm
Yeah,
just saying that it is possible to do that fast track and for it to be sustainable and achievable if you come back to yourself.
yeah,
Mm,
absolutely.
yeah, look at that amazing mug. It's so good. A witch's brew mug. I know. I loved it. I saw it earlier and I was like, oh my God, that's so good. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love buying my, household decorations and stuff during Halloween.
Yeah. I
Bought a lot
saw
of stuff
a
during
I
Halloween.
saw a meme this morning that said Halloween is my all year vibe. And I was like, oh
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that's another thing. Like I set up my altars. I have, my divination altar is right over here. This is my meditation altar. I just created this space. Um, I have this. Okay, I'm going to show you if I can. Okay, there's my makeshift swing. It's a papasan chair
Oh, I want
that
one
I
of
hung from
those.
the ceiling.
I want one of those.
Everybody else wants it too. And that's where I'll do like my meetings and, things like that. And everybody's like, oh, really? Coming to a smart recovery meeting in a swing?
Yeah.
What the, I'll be sitting
Yeah.
there swinging,
And just yeah,
create your cozy space.
somebody's already said in the comments, I can't remember who it was, that they loved the sign in the background. And it's funny because Misty actually had said to me before we started, do you think they're going to be okay with the sign in the background? Because that's my vibe. And I'm like, too bad if they're not, because I freaking love it. So yeah, it
Yeah.
is one freaking day at a time. That's it. That's all we
Yeah.
need is one day at a time.
Yeah. And it was, why is that?
I know our screen
Um,
just flipped. Did anybody else see that? We just flipped sides.
I, I don't even know.
Oh, we
I
just
don't
flipped
even know what
again.
happened. Over here on my side, the little raise hand thing came up
Oh,
in the
that's
middle of
why.
the
Because
screen.
when you raise your hand, you come to the first person. I forget that we're
I
doing
didn't do
through
it though.
Zoom, through OBS, through Insight Timer. Like there's three programs running at the same time here, people. So yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even do it though. It just popped up. I don't know. But yeah, like that was the first thing that I bought off Temu.
Yeah.
Um,
Continue.
when I came home. And when I came home from treatment, my house had been broke into. It was trashed. Um, I was terrified the first night that I was here.
Mm,
Absolutely terrified. I turned on Zoom meetings for recovery meetings, and I left it on all night in the background
yeah.
just to have something else in my house. You know, I do that with Insight Timer now, just to have something going on in my house. Sometimes that's what you need is just that
Emotional background
companion.
noise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jordan will say to me all the time, "Are you even watching this TV show?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's my emotional support background while I'm doing
Yeah.
something else."
Yeah.
It's
I
all
gotta
good.
have some of that going on. But yeah, like I had to clean my house, and so like I started creating, my environment again. And um, that was one of the first things that I bought was one day at a time, because yeah, I had to remind myself, and I actually had it up above my desk at one point, because then I could just look at it every day. That's what I needed to know because I was going through so much other just life stuff at the time. Like I spent the last 8 months facing eviction every month,
Mm,
and fighting and clawing to keep a roof over my head. And that homeless threat was a huge trigger for me
yeah.
for, my recovery. Like, but there's ways to make it through it. That's why I think this whole thing happened so fast because it was me using my survival modes in a good way and it created this,
Because it would have been
just
an
like we
easy,
talked about in
slippery
the beginning.
slope back to the
Oh yeah.
old ways. Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah. I
it
mean,
was a big for me anyway. I hear this as a big universal test. Okay. We're testing you.
huge,
We're testing you. What
huge.
are you going to do? And you stepped up. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that first night when I came home and everything was trashed, of course, I had all of my old people. They knew when I got out
Mm,
and they started messaging me right away.
mm,
So I had to change my phone number. I had to change my email. I changed my Facebook. I changed everything in my life.
mm.
It had to happen, you know? All that stuff had to go away. Whatever was in that old life, oh well,
Yeah.
you know?
Misty 2.0.
Um, Yeah, I mean, it had to. Even, whatever of normal life was in that old life, it's gone too.
Mm,
I started over.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and it can be done.
It can be.
You,
It really can be.
everybody thinks they need to hold, well, I got this going on over here. I got that going on over there. Who cares?
Mm,
Because life starts over again. I spent 2 prison stints. Guess what? Came out with the prison gray sweatsuit, and nothing. Everything that I had before I went in prison was gone. Started over. So
mm.
I know I can do it. And I just chose to do it in a positive way this time. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
So a question, and anybody in the comments, if you've got a question, let me know, and I can. I don't have a pen near me to write them down, but I will try to say them out loud if we have time.
We'll get there.
So and just so you know, this will be definitely like version one, like part one. Sorry, I should say part one. I'm sure we'll be back together again. Um, so what do you do now that is like part of your routine that is not negotiable that you might not have already spoken about? Is there any other not negotiable parts, like other than going to your meetings or your support groups or your grounding? What other not negotiables do you have for yourself?
Um, journaling.
Yeah.
Journaling, I have to write in my book of mirrors every morning. And also my I have a playlist that I started when I first got into recovery. And I have to have that music every morning.
Mm.
I do that music every morning and I dance. I dance with my dog. She doesn't like it that much, but
Too
well,
bad.
she didn't at first. Now, when she hears that playlist start, she kind of scoots over towards me because I'll just like grab her head and I'll dance around with her, and now she wants to do it with me. Like it's finding those joys.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, getting that music going, not getting on the phone right away in the morning, and just
Mm.
yeah, that that playlist really, and then I sit down and journal.
Awesome. Somebody had said earlier in one of the comments that they love your playlist. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
and she shared them
Yeah,
with
I
me as
started
well.
sharing
And
them.
so many of the songs I've already had, but I've certainly found a whole heap of new songs as well through your playlist. So yeah, they are amazing. Yeah. Jamie's asking on here, how did you start over with nothing? So what was like what was that first, oh shit, I've got nothing. What was the first sort of,
Um, I mean, I guess because I've done it so many different times, but there's also resources out there.
mm,
There's resources everywhere, you know? Um, like I said, I'm a deep diver. I'll get on the internet and I just start researching stuff. And so you just have to deep dive. That's how I saved my house.
mm,
Um, because I got other people in the state involved with saving my place because of these guys wanting to kick me out. So I'm paid through January now. I do not have to worry about it. And I, just started working and um yeah, because I did take a lot of time off for myself. I had to. Um Starting over, it's just starting over.
mm.
It's just stuff.
Yeah.
You can get more, you know? It's there. The resources are out there. It's just stuff you can get more.
Mm.
So, and that other stuff that you think you need to hold on to, the emails, the Facebook, the this, the that, if the people on Facebook are your real friends, like you can contact them and they'll accept your friend request again,
Mm.
or they will find you,
Yeah.
you know? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, you just let it go.
Yeah.
Because it's how long did it take to build everything you got right now? Like you can do it again, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
I love that. It's just stuff. It's just stuff.
It's just
And
stuff.
when we realize that we're alive and we are here, everything is just one foot in front of each other, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just
I
one
mean,
step at a time.
so many times I didn't have the necessities. I didn't have like security and safety. I didn't have, clothes. I didn't have food. I didn't have a, roof over my head. There are so many times in my life that I didn't have those things.
Mm.
So just realizing that I do have the basic needs that a human needs in order to okay, then I can go from there because the rest is just stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a question here from Jordan. He wrote, let me go back up and find it now. He wrote, I would like to know if Misty sees her eyes change color when looking in the mirror, or if she sees her face change, maybe to, why does it keep moving on me? Everybody stop talking for a second. Keep moving my comments. I'd like to know if Missy sees her eyes change color when looking in the mirror, or if she sees her face change, maybe to personal, maybe to personal. So, so often when Jordan is using his intuition or, deep within his own spiritual work, he he sees his face transform. And so I'm
Yep.
assuming that's what he means. He wants to know, do you see a transformation within yourself on a spiritual level that looks like it's on a physical level? Does that make sense?
Um, the time during my birthday,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, that was the first time that it did, but my eyes change color a lot. Other people have even noticed that through my whole life,
Yeah.
depending on where I'm at, my eyes will change color. But yeah, having that, when you get in that trance state and everything just kind of blurs out, the real person
Mm.
and personality that you are in that moment shines through.
Yeah.
Um,
And
Yeah, it's hard
Jordan
to
said, yeah,
explain.
he picked up that that's what he could. He said, I picked that up. So he was obviously picking up on the energy that your transformation, like your trance state, you know,
Yeah.
showed in showed itself to you, basically, which is
Well,
beautiful.
and it, I appreciate Jordan because there's a lot of times I've been on your lives and, he's kind of like said some things and I mean, it's like he's been in my head, you know?
Try
I
living with him.
appreciate, yeah, I appreciate his gift,
Yeah.
because he can tap in
Yeah.
no matter where. And so it was actually that some of the things he said to me has been very helpful. It helped me actually in that time that I was going through that because he said some things right before my birthday. He was talking specifically to me,
Mm.
and it kind of helped me get into a different headspace. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. He says, whenever you feel lost, look inwards and you will find yourself. So you're on my list, he says. You're on my list. So whenever he's doing energy work, you're on his list. So
Appreciate
um,
that.
yeah. All right. So Love has asked, I want to journal, but don't know how. Over time, the process, and probably more crucially, I'm avoiding, but don't know why. What would be the best way to get started? So when you started, had you journaled before this last road of recovery?
Journaling was not really, no, it really wasn't in my, I didn't know how. I thought there was a way to do it. I thought I had to do it a certain way. Um, and you don't,
Mm.
you know, what's in your head? Because I'm known to kind of walk around my house and talk, you know, about what's in my head, talk it through. So journaling's just that. And I kind of do it in shorthand because I don't want to write all those words out. So I'll kind of do it in shorthand. I know what I'm saying. It
Mm.
doesn't need to be for anybody else. It doesn't need to look pretty. It doesn't need to, all right, bullet points, all right, little things off to the side. Like it's a super mess.
Mm.
But I know what it meant. I know where it is, but it's just getting the things out of your head and on paper. And
Mm.
even if you don't journal, like I said, I walk around my house and, I'll talk to the universe and just talk it through,
Mm.
because I'm getting answers while I'm doing that. When I
Like you said,
speak it out
it's
loud,
getting it out. Hey.
yeah, when I speak it out loud, all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it is. Um, I've had sponsees in recovery, and when I'm telling them what to do, I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
I need, that has to come back at me too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, just write
I
it
like
out.
that. I like that the with journaling, hey, there's no rules.
No,
You just
no, you
do what
don't
works for
have
you.
to have a question you're answering. You don't have to have, there's some great journaling teachers on here.
Yeah.
So, you know, find one that you can go to. There's a lot of them that do it every day, every week.
Mm.
Maybe you just start with one of them that does it every week.
Yeah, with Violet, one of our amazing journaling people here on Insight Timer, Violet 108, she's commented and she just said, I started using an app on my phone that lets me speak and it translates it into a journal. I love it.
Yep,
One of her
yep.
many journals. So, yeah, if you don't want to write and if you're wandering around your house having that, what I call my executive meeting with all my parts,
Yeah.
voice record it and it'll transcribe it for you if you want to keep a written record of it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just however you need to get started on it, but it's mostly just getting it out. Just
Yeah.
get it out because you got that stuff running through your head all the time. Get it out, and then you got space for
Yeah. And so many
more.
people are like, oh, yeah, but, getting it, like saying it or writing it down, it's not really going to do anything. Yeah, it does. It does. Do you know why? Because when it's only inside your head, you're the only one that knows about it. But as soon as you've said it out loud or written it down, it becomes a real thing. Like, as in,
Right.
we've given it its own identity. And that's what we do so that it no longer has control over us.
Right. And
We
words are
separate it.
spells.
Yeah.
Words are
Exactly.
spells.
Yeah.
So if you say it out loud, now you've put it out there for whatever to help you take care of it.
Mm.
You know, that's what I used to do when I was really kind of going through the first part of my recovery. Okay, what do I need to do with this? This is the way that I'm feeling about it. What, I would kind of start it with, okay, I don't know what to do. And then I just speak it out loud because it's a spell, but I'm also calling on the universe
Yeah.
to give me the answers. And all of a sudden, the next day, boom, something pops up, synchronistic. That's what and I would write down maybe what was synchronistic. Oh, this was a synchronous, a glimmer,
A glimmer.
that
Yeah.
was just for me, you know? Yeah. However you need, I have notepads all over my house
Yeah.
with little things written on them. Yeah.
Yeah. Kim said, since were hard for me post accident, I would scribe or draw to get it out, put it in paper, not in my head. Exactly. It
Mhm.
just,
Yeah.
it just, it takes like the giving it its own identity. And that's why I often like say, name your emotions, give them their own identity, separate them from yourself, because we've spent a lifetime saying, I'm sad, I'm fat, I'm this. No, it's only part of who you are. It's not who you are, And I know there's
Right.
other countries that say things in a different way. It's like, I have sadness in me. Yeah, you do have
Yeah.
sadness in you, but that's not who you totally are. So it's the same thing.
Right.
Journaling does the same thing. So, uh,
Yeah. Yeah. It's not your identity.
awesome. Sorry, there was a question apparently that Alejandro, which our beautiful brother Alejandro is here, and he'd asked, and everyone's like, "You missed Alejandro's question." I'm like, "Shit, sorry, the comments are going so fast." So Jordan's just come up because he screenshot it. It says, so Alejandro's question for you is, Misty, as a teacher, what do you bring to your students that is unique to you? Oh, I like that. So,
Um, like I said earlier, I think the way that I have healed my witch wound because I was determined to come out of the broom closet 100%,
yeah,
Um, and I actually started going to recovery meetings and letting people know that that's what I was.
yeah,
Looks or judgments be damned. And that's when I had a lot of people really connect with me. I have my therapist, my peer support, my care coordinator, everybody encouraging me to start a meeting of my own with this kind of spirituality around here because they have so many people that are getting lost. Um, so it's me bringing that healed witch in there and taking away the stigma
yeah.
because it's
Unapologetically.
just
It doesn't have to make
it's just
sense to anybody
everyday
else.
stuff.
Not everybody
You
has to
you
agree.
no, and it's just everyday stuff. My witchcraft is just everyday stuff.
Mm.
I just intentionally think it in to being, part of my spells.
Mm. And
So,
what you
yeah,
said is really important. It's your witchcraft.
yeah,
It's not
yeah.
anybody
Every
else's. It's yours.
Nope. And everybody's witchcraft is different, and that's okay. Just getting people to understand that even when you're doing things right now, you're practicing witchcraft, just and get them to go back to that old ways because me connecting to those old ways and the pagan ways and bringing that in has been the thing that's the ancestor healing that ancestor stuff because I didn't have family, so yeah, I've created that family.
Yeah. And I love that because, like I came out of the broom closet and I want to say fell because I kind of fell into I need to have every herb and every jar and a beautiful apothecary and I had to have it look a certain way. And then I stopped doing that. I stopped writing in my book of shadows. I stopped doing all the things that I thought was what was making me a witch. And then I
Right.
started doing it intentionally. I started doing it for myself and my soul. I started doing it in a way that was only serving me and my inner witch. And then I slowly started bringing it into other parts of my life. And I was like, you know what? I don't need to show that I wear a hat, or like wear the clothing, or I don't have to show my craft in the way that the rest of the world deems to be a witch, and I think
Right.
that's really important. And I love the
Yeah.
fact that you know you could bring that to share with so many more people on this platform. So yeah.
Well, and like I want to bring, showing people how to journal in their, it doesn't have to be this crazy, grimoire that's, all what, show them how to journal in a book of shadows because it's just about your spiritual journey, so teach them how that works, for their witchy ways. I just made a salt scrub the other day, but I put some lavender and I sat there and I put my intentions, some lavender and some rosemary, and I put my thoughts and intentions into it, and that's all it is. You just made a potion,
Yeah.
you know, just kind of let people know that that's actually how you practice witchcraft. You don't have to, you
It
know,
goes by our intention
yeah,
and our
you
authenticity.
know,
It's not about creating a picture perfect uh, photo opportunity that you're going to post on a
no,
social platform. It's about
no,
what's going to serve you in that moment. And if seriously stirring clockwise into your morning coffee is all you do for that day, do it. Yeah.
at night, I make myself a cup of tea. I
Mm.
light a candle that represents either what I want to feel that day or the color of the day, you
Mm.
know. Um, and then I listen to my evening self-care playlist. And
Mm.
that's a ritual,
Yeah.
It's something I do every day.
Yeah.
It's a ritual.
And it's not I'm going to lay on the couch and watch Netflix, which is fine every now and again as well. There's nothing wrong with that. But if that's your everyday go-to, find a new ritual that's going to serve you on a deeper level, which I think is beautiful. Because
Well, and I'm reading
like I'll have 2 or 3
during that.
nights in a row watching Netflix, and then all of a sudden the next night I'll be doing something completely different, doing some craft or doing my own ritual or something else. It's got to
Yeah.
be served, same. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have to
Bethany.
do spells all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So Bethany's put up a quote that she'd like me to read out, and it says, "In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer, and that makes me happy, for it says that no matter how hard the world pushes against me and within me, there's something stronger, something better, pushing it right back." And it was a quote by Albus Camus. And she said, I thought of Misty when I came across this. Yeah.
Aw. Yeah, well, she would know. Her and I twin on here all the time, so we've become little twinnies.
Yeah. I love it. Oh, and there's
Yeah.
another one further up that says Bruce Lee said from Jesse. Bruce Lee said, "Don't speak negatively about yourself, even as a joke. Your body doesn't know the difference. Words are energy and cast spells, and that's why it's called spelling. Change the way you speak about yourself, and you can change your life. What you're not changing, you are also choosing." And that is powerful too. I totally.
Absolutely.
Mm.
I actually just heard a thing the other day where I think it was this uh thing where this guy like spoke good things into this cup of water and bad things into this cup of water and then tried to freeze them. And the one that had the bad things in it wouldn't freeze as well.
Yeah.
Like because it had broke up the energy in it. The other one like was still solid and yeah, it's
It's amazing.
energy.
It's like that
Yeah.
rice
And
experiment that I spoke about the other day with Michelle. Like I did a rice experiment as part of my training course, and where you speak really nicely to one jar of rice, they're cooked rice, and then you speak really badly to the next jar, and then the third jar you completely ignore. And each jar of rice molds or goes off or grows at different levels
right.
because it's the
Like there's
energy you're
lots of
putting to it.
experiments like that. Yeah.
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 No, I
But it's
actually, the
true.
hardest part I found with that experiment was actually speaking badly to the jar. Like, I really struggled. Like, I had everybody in the family try doing it. And even Ella and Jordan were like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to, because it's putting it out there. It's putting that negative energy out to another thing in the world. It was really hard
Yeah.
to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing I've noticed too, because I was the most negative person this time last year. I hated everybody. I was, I mean, I had zero faith in humanity. I didn't trust anyone. Um, and now like I have a hard time with negative talk too. Like I I will reframe it, even if it's something that does need to be dug up, still because it's still in there. There's still goop.
Yeah.
I reframe it because I don't want it to come out that way.
Yeah, and words are powerful, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
people like my life coach, and I know a lot of people on here do it every now and again. My life coach, if she does say something, she's like, cancel, delete, reset,
Yeah.
control, alt, delete, remove it. Like that's not, no, I didn't actually put that out. I was just saying it as part of the conversation, but that's not what I feel or think or want,
But words are words unless you put an intention behind it to
Yeah, but there's
they're
still,
still words.
yeah,
Yes.
it's still a
Yeah.
form of intention
The
behind every
universe
word.
listens
Yeah.
to energy, not what
Mm.
it's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's been a changer for me too. The more that I put light out there, the more light comes to me.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just,
that's so within as without,
yeah,
like it's the
yeah,
same,
as within, as without.
Yeah.
It's just all those things, like actually believing those things. We
Yeah.
can say them, we can hear them, we can be like, oh yeah, da, 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 but until you put your all into believing them, it's not going to shift.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
So
that was the game changer for me. Even if it's fake it till you make it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Keep going.
because it will start working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thinking about a time in the last, even if we said 6 months, so while you've been in this new 2.0 zone, and doing all this work and healing journey and setting your life, tell us about a time when you thought you may have slipped up and what inspired you to keep going, or like what shifted you back out of that possible downward spiral.
Oh yeah, there was actually about 6 months ago. That was when things started going sideways for me as far as getting threatened with, being kicked out. And I was working day labor. So I'm working day labor to try to like figure out, okay, if I work every day, I can pay for a hotel room, It was the only thing. I started throwing things away. I started like clearing things out and really thinking about, and I actually got on the phone with a friend of mine and I said, you know what? Be easier to go back to selling drugs. At that point, I could, you know, and he's like, don't you dare, and it was that quick, but it was that quick to shift for me too.
Mm.
Because immediately I played that tape forward and I do not want to live in that place again, that whole scene came through in like 2 seconds and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But it just,
Yeah.
it did come out of me, those words came out of me. It was that much frustration.
I like the way that you described you played that tape forward. You sat with the possibility of what could have been and went, nah.
Oh yeah, because every choice we make creates the path that you're going to be on.
Mm.
And I've been down that path. I know what that one looks like,
Yeah.
So yeah, it was real easy to see that path and be like,
Yeah.
I'll take this other one where I have absolutely no idea where it's going, but I'm not going down that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I really do love that. So on a lighter note, let's ask just a lighter question. What's your favorite hobby? Like just a no nonsense, like not turning it into a business. It doesn't need to, it's just something for fun. What's your favorite for fun hobby or go-to thing?
I love, okay, such a junker. And around here, they have what's called uh cleanup day.
Yep.
And people will save their stuff all year long to put it out there, furniture, blah blah blah. So I will go around and grab this stuff because I love to refurbish and give things a new life. And I've done that with so much stuff and either given it to people that are coming out of halfway houses or sober livings because they need stuff to start out with or I thought about turning it into a business, but I just have fun with it, I've got a bunch of stuff that I've made in my house that I love and it's unique,
Yeah.
So
Love that.
yeah.
They do curbside pickups a couple times a year here. And often we drive
Yeah.
chicken. Because really,
Is there any
what's
good
one
stuff?
person's trash is another person's treasure. And especially for people like us that will upcycle and recycle, give something a new life. Like I love it. I love it.
Well, and to answer that question of, earlier, how did you start over? Just like that,
Yeah.
you know? Everything, I don't think I paid for anything in my house because all the stuff that I actually did spend money on got stolen when I was in treatment, but I still have what I need,
Yeah.
you know? I don't think I paid for anything in my house at this point. It's all stuff that I picked up off the side of the road and gave it a new life, you know? And my house is full. So, yeah.
Yeah. And the universe has a beautiful way, I believe, of putting something in front of you that you'd be like, why did somebody throw this out? Like, honestly, this is gold.
Yeah, yeah, excellent.
But we
Yeah.
wouldn't have gone
And
out and
around
bought
here,
it. We wouldn't have gone out and bought it ourselves, but we'll be like, damn, yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
yeah, around here, people are just, um, they have zero value in anything.
Yeah.
They will throw away all kinds of stuff that's, yeah, still perfectly good, brand new, almost, Yeah.
Yeah. So, who inspires you now? Like, who keeps you inspired to keep on track and stuff?
Um, it's a lot of the Inside Timer. You're one of the first people that I followed, and I love coming to your stuff. You inspire me. Jordan inspires me. Alejandro, Melanie. There's like I said, there's a core. Shauna, there's a core people that I go to their lives.
Mm.
Like I will schedule their lives anytime they come up. I schedule their lives in my thing, and if I can make it, because it alerts me that
Yeah.
it's happening, and if I can jump on it and make it, I go,
Yeah.
because they have been the core thing for me healing.
Yeah.
Each person brings a different vibe, and it's been the vibes that I needed to make
Mm.
the whole me at this point.
And when you don't have that kind of access in person nearby, it's such an amazing platform to be able to connect in with. Hey, because not every, like, I don't know, is there something outside of Insight Timer for you?
No, I don't, I'm not from North Dakota.
Yeah.
I'm not really from anywhere. But I did have some core people back in Montana, but I'm stuck out here right now. And the only people that I knew out here were really bad for me.
Yeah.
Um, I don't have transportation other than the bus system, and I kind of live in a little town outside. And I was spending a lot of time just with me
Mm.
because I was never okay with being alone, and I had to figure out how to be okay with being alone.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm being encouraged to start something locally now, so that's going to come into my life.
Yeah.
It's coming when it's supposed to. Um, so yeah, I don't have anybody really locally. I've made a couple of really decent friends, but we talk occasionally, I just kind of spend my time in my own little world. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like there's so many people that are like, oh, well, why do you like being at home? I'm like, dude, because I pay the rent here and I'm getting my money's worth. But I'm
Yeah.
okay with myself. I'm okay with being on my own with myself. Like I'm good with that. I do love being
Yeah.
out and being with other people as well, but I'm more than okay to go hibernation mode. That's fine too.
Right. Well, and there's like this Christmas display that's 3 blocks long, here in my little town that all the small businesses put together. And they do like cookies and cocoa, and they've got like, little fire pits, and they do s'mores and stuff like that on the weekends. And you can go down there, you chit chat with some people. I haven't, made any of them my friends, but I get to chit chat with people and kind of
We
still
don't
be with
have,
myself, but be around people. And
yeah, that sounds awesome,
yeah,
which is funny
just,
because the Bethany's just put up a question saying, what's your thoughts on the celebrations for Yule? So
um,
this will be your first Yule out of the broom closet for you, won't it?
right,
Yeah.
right. I have, like told you earlier, like I have some online, uh, covenish type groups that I've gotten with, and they've shared some solitary things that you can do.
Mm.
And so, like, in the little feed things, I've bookmarked them because I'm gonna go and try them, just little things that I've never tried before. I've been watching some videos and seeing, some things, but it just needs to be simple. And again, it's a personal thing. Yule is. It's more an introspective time of year for the old pagans. It was very much getting in touch with yourself and nature. And then, the winter solstice, honoring that we're coming back into the light. So there'll be a ritual for, you know, the sun's birth and stuff like that during that time. And then, it'll just be kind of going through because it's 12 days after the winter solstice, and just something each day to honor that growing light. That's really kind of the way that I'm thinking about it.
Beautiful. And it is because, like, I find it not hard, but I forget, that there is cold, dark hibernation times for you guys in the north. Whereas down here, we're in our summer. Like, it's hot. We're sweating balls down here. Like, it's like
Right.
with the
Yeah.
totally opposite. So I wouldn't have that, like, cozy, introspective time through my Christmas period. It's all about,
Right.
you know, but it's,
Yeah. No, I mean, you guys are in what, Lunasta or
yeah.
what are you going at? Midsummer anyway. Yeah. You guys actually are on the wheel of the year. You're on the opposite side, but yes, it's Christmas. So I absolutely like, I don't know. I would have a hard time with that as well. But yeah, going for walks, just understanding nature, and lots of candles,
Yeah.
because you're bringing in that light, um,
Mm.
however you can.
Well, Bethany's saying she's excited for her first Yule as well. She said the maybe summer Sawin was really unexpectedly profound for her. So yeah, so she's
Yeah.
excited for her first Yule as
Well,
well.
and you can always message me on Insight Timer there in the, message things, and we can compare some notes and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe we need to do a Yule slash like a northern southern session.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I mean, you did it for which
for
Samhain?
Halloween
No.
for Sawin, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Which was amazing. Like I
we
really,
can always figure some stuff out.
yeah.
I have lots of ideas, so we'll kind of like, yeah, we'll start throwing
We'll
stuff
start
around.
something. Yeah. Does
Yeah,
anybody have, we're almost out of
that
time. Does anybody have any like last quick questions for Misty? Um, what's your love language? And not in the
um
sense of, like those typical five love languages or whatever they are. Like, what do you class as your love language?
um my love language, even when I was not being vulnerable, was I really I dig into, I'm very, very, being an empath, I'm very intuitive into other people. And so even just the smallest things I notice. And so I try to notice those things and be there for that person before something happens, or just give them that small gift. Just do those little things, and they may not notice that that's what I'm doing, you know, but
Absolutely.
I'm giving that support. That's always been my thing, kind of fill in those holes for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah. Acts of service and gifts. Yeah, definitely mine too. So,
Just
Bethany has a
because,
question. Bethany has a very important question. When are
okay.
you coming to New York? And
Well,
Jordan's equally important question. When are you finally going to become a teacher on Insight Timer?
well, I just reached out to somebody because I didn't even know where to sign up. So I'm in that process of reaching out to sign up, and then we'll get the tracks going. And yeah, we'll work
2025.
from there.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, I just joined a group that, can kind of help me with that. There's a separate little teacher thing that I found or
Yeah.
was led to. And so yeah, I'm getting the information now. I didn't even know where to start.
Yeah.
But
And look,
like I
I
said,
didn't in the beginning, and I don't know because we've been teachers on here now for just over probably 3.5 years now. I gather from some of the comments I've seen in some of the teacher groups that I'm in that the process is a little bit different to when it was when we first started, but I literally just filled in the form and hit send. That was it. I did the
yeah,
whole, I don't know what I'm doing. I'll just fill the form in and hit send and see what they do.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm reaching out to find out how to do it.
Yeah.
Like that's been my phrase, my thing too. Like I'm letting fear lead me.
Yeah.
Not I'm not letting it
Chase
rule
you.
my life.
Yeah.
It's leading me, and I'm paying attention to it,
I
Yeah.
made
because if I'm
Well,
afraid of it, that's where I need to go.
Violet lives by a quote that feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs to lead me. I'm putting it in my pocket. I'm making it my best friend, and what it tells me that I'm afraid of, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So,
And Caitlin said that's exactly when I said how I just filled the form in and sent it off. She's like, that's what I did.
yeah.
I wrote a statement.
I
Oh,
didn't
did
even
you?
know where the
Oh,
form
geez.
was, so I had to figure that out.
Okay,
Yeah.
Jordan apparently has written something and I have to find it. He's
I'll just say it.
Misty, start writing your business plan. There you go.
Oh yeah.
That's from Jordan.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to kind of, it's been on my mind how I'm going to format all of this. So, yeah,
Walk around
I
your
did.
apartment, dictating your business plan to the universe.
Yeah,
That's
I
a start.
did go to college as well, did some, business management. I have an associate's in business management. So, yeah, I know how to do that. I just got to get into it.
Yeah, it's just
And I put it out to the universe because I see her doing her own, what
Mm,
did you call it? Recovery thing, but on a different, helping other people,
yeah.
but in a
Yeah.
different way to the normal.
Mm. Lover said, do a vision board. And Bethany says,
Yeah.
whatever it is, it'll be amazing.
Yeah, I'm doing a vision board. I actually just started that. So I know that there'll be steps, and the universe is going to guide me where I need to go. I
Yeah,
don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it. So,
yeah, I love that. Well, we've come to the end of our time, and I want to just say a massive big thank you to Misty. Thank you for being vulnerable and raw and open and honest. And look, you made it through the whole thing without crying. She said to me beforehand, she's like, there's a good chance I'm going to start crying. And look at you, you
I did.
didn't. You stood in your power. Not that there's anything wrong with crying, but sometimes it's great to know that you can get through it without feeling that, you know, sense of losing it while you're
Well,
doing it as well.
I
So
just want to
Well, I
say,
think go ahead.
go ahead.
no, Misty, I connected a lot with your childhood, so you'd be surprised at what I was passed around like a dog, like.
Mm,
And my parents, my mum would sneak it and just throw us in the back of a ute
and take off.
and take off, not tell
Mm.
my dad. Then my dad would have to drive 1,600 kilometers because she never wanted us. She just, that punishment thing.
Didn't want him to have
He
this.
was a violent drunk and she was a narcissist. And it just went like we moved 23 times in 3 years alone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bethany says I was the same. I was like a hot potato.
yeah.
Yeah.
They use you for punishment, but like a lot of what you said about homelessness and stuff, you'd be surprised at how much that I connected. I said to Carly, I connect with Misty, even
Yeah.
though and there's addicts all through my family. I was very lucky that I didn't go that road
Mm,
because I could have quite
Yeah.
easily.
mm.
I've lost family members through addiction. So you alone, this whole thing, I could feel the energy on watching this, and
Mm.
you have touched so many people.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's
And
been
if you could
absolutely
see the
fantastic.
comments and the people just going, yes, 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 and going and saying, you know, they got so much out of it. So I just wanted to say that you touched a lot of people.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you know, I know that I can, you know, because I've had a lot of people, even when I was in my addiction, and I would have people come to me and they would be like, "You're a good witch, and you're here to take on other people's pain because they can't take it all." And
Mm.
they're like, "Did you ever think of that?" And I'm like, "Every day, you
Yeah.
know, I do. I take on a lot of other people's pain because it would break them,
Mm.
you know." And I gave a lot of people a lot of resources to help them. I helped a lot of people get out of it while I was still in it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
You
it's
So
got,
much
crazy. I've got
power.
a lot more. I've got a lot more to like share. Like I said, you know, there's
Yeah.
a lot
you're an
of
earthling. You'll be helping a lot of people in the future.
Mm.
I can
yeah.
see a
Yeah.
lot.
Well, so many people are putting in the comments. Thank you. It's been amazing. Like teaching is the best way to learn. Yes, I agree, Bethany. You know, everybody has really resonated with your story and loved hearing even just the small parts of what you shared, you know. But yeah, honestly, it's really, you know, I might be the teacher, I might like as in like the teacher here on Insight Timer, I might be the one that have hit the start button, but the power in what you've taught us today, Beth, Misty, has been absolutely profound. And it really, really, truly is a blessing and an honor to be able to have held this space with you and have you show up in your realness for us all here today. So
And
thank
thank you. And I'm kind of being called to share what we talked about before, why I said I would probably get emotional on here. Um, because just before this, the person that I love was ripped and sent back to prison. You know, we were a month away from him coming home and living here.
you.
And they took him out of the transition center and sent him back to prison over a pair of headphones that went missing at his work that he had nothing to do with, you know? And so it's hard for me to have the faith through that, but I am, you know, and I'm still stepping up and coming on here
Mm.
to share what I need to share.
Mm.
Um, there's a time in my life I would have curled up in bed and the world would have disappeared for a week,
Yeah.
you know?
And a part
Um,
of you would also understand, like your inner Misty would also understand that as hard as it is to know that you're not going to see them as soon as you thought, it's part of their journey as well, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, there's a reason. And I had, you know, it hurts and I want it to be different, but there's a reason this is happening.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, I've had to speak that out loud and convince myself of that for the last couple of days, you know. Um, so yeah, there's ways to get through all of that stuff, you know. Um, yeah, I got super heartbreak going on right now, but it's gonna be okay.
And
So
you're still showing up for yourself. That's the key, isn't it?
yeah,
Super heartbreak,
yeah,
super, you know, crap going on, life falling apart around you. You're still doing the work, you're still showing up for you because that's the core and that's the foundation and that's the most important thing.
right. Well, and it's important for me to have this and to start this journey here on Insight Timer. It's this journey on Insight Timer, I know is going to be super important for me, and it's something that I'm very, very passionate about starting. So
Well,
yeah, I had to do it.
you brought that up about your friend because I'm now know to focus energy on helping him
Mm.
for the truth to come out. And if everybody on here does the same thing,
Mm.
you'd be surprised at how quickly things can turn around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
But I full credit to you, and you should give yourself credit for the strength that you have.
Yeah.
And you've done everything yourself.
Yeah. That
It's
Michelle's like, I'm in. And she said, and you're not turning back to old patterns to cope. You know, Bethany's like, you got many hands at your back. You know, it's like Yeah.
You've got heaps of people you can message
Yeah.
us if you're feeling down.
My dog just came over to me because she knows that I'm
Yeah.
feeling emotional right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They know. They
You
know
know.
they've got a better sense about things than us. Hey, it's
You,
amazing.
you've got
Yeah.
all the support on here,
Mm.
and I just think you're amazing. And I had a connection with you before we'd even talked, like
Yeah.
just
Right.
from chatting, because
Mm.
energy speaks louder than words.
Yeah.
And I've always
Yeah.
said to Carly,
Mm.
energy never lies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It's crazy, isn't it? So, well,
Yeah.
thank you very much, everybody, for being here. I'm going to hit the end live button in a second. I just want to make sure Misty knows how much she has loved the comments that are coming in, the hearts that are
I
coming
wish
in.
you could see
I
the
wish you could
comments.
see it, hey, because it's been absolutely amazing. We've got
Love
196
you all. Love you all.
196
Yeah.
people. Amazing. Like that's just fantastic. So yeah, so much love for you, Misty. Honestly, thank you very much for being here. Thank you, everybody. I will be back on Thursday for our creative witch session because somebody here called me out and noticed that I didn't do a creative witch session last week. And so I scheduled something, and as you would see on there, it says it's a surprise. Well, guess what? It's a surprise because I don't even know what we're going to do yet. It's even a surprise to me. So hopefully I'll get to see you on Thursday for the Creative Witch session and then on Sunday night for our full moon cacao and envelope opening. If you don't already, please follow along to our profile so that you get notified of when those new lives I schedule will come up. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Bye.